Welcome back, everyone, to Entrepreneuring. I'm Garrett Weinzierl, and my guest today has worked in accounting, finance, international trade, and he now works with the Arrowhead Technology Incubator here at NMSU. Tim Moldstad, thank you for joining me this morning.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
I appreciate you coming by. So, as I said at the top, you've worked in quite a few different fields. Let's talk a little bit about your background, get folks, introduced to you. What is your experience in the corporate world?
I had the good fortune of having a variety of experiences, mostly in Fortune 500 environments. I did have a stint in a regional customs brokerage firm where I was chief financial officer. And for a couple of years, I had my own accounting and international trade consulting firm focused on the Mexican maquiladora industry. But I started out in material and inventory accounting in the aerospace business. And it was a large corporation, so I had opportunity to get exposed to numerous things in both how a factory actually works, which at the beginning of one's career is very beneficial, and then acquire some specific areas of expertise within accounting, which at the beginning was material accounting, and the accounting for the property, plant, and equipment, and some of the tax aspects associated with that. And I migrated to another firm where I was able to focus exclusively on the accounting for property, plant, and equipment. And after a couple of years there, I left the corporate world temporarily to go back for graduate school, where I got an MBA with an accounting concentration. In my undergraduate educational experiences, I concentrated more on finance and economics and only had a minor in accounting. And since I had spent a good chunk of the first few years of my career working in accounting-related disciplines, I concentrated in accounting in my master's degree. Okay. And then wound up back after that in the aerospace business. And my second employer called me up about a year and a half or so after I had finished my master's degree, while I was already back in the aerospace business, and asked if I was interested in being responsible for financial operations of a maquiladora in Mexico. And while the job was domiciled in Southern California, I traveled back. I accepted that position, and I traveled back and forth to Mexico from there. I had the opportunity as a sophomore in high school to live in Peru, and had learned to more or less be able to function and converse in Spanish. And at that time, I had acquired an interest in international business, and I had tried to get a job fresh out of my undergrad, with my undergrad degree in international business. And I learned the lesson that a lot of, I think, people learn is most larger corporations are real hesitant to send what they view as youngsters abroad. So I had to work in the U.S. for a while before I was offered the opportunity. And once I had that opportunity, I was able to parlay that into a career that had me work in Mexico the better part of 15 years. And I finished up my career in the corporate world working in Europe. I was domiciled in Scotland.
Oh, wow. So you've been all over the globe working professionally.
A little bit. I've had opportunity to live in 22 cities, 7 states, and 3 foreign countries.
Wow.
The foreign countries being Peru, Mexico, and Scotland. But in the course of my work, and I also like to travel for fun, I think I'm up to about 20 or maybe 25 countries now that I've had a chance to visit.
Oh, that's spectacular. Now, did you have a history of speaking Spanish? Had you learned Spanish before you started working in Mexico, or was it something you had to kind of pick up as you went along?
I had lived in Peru for the sophomore year of high school, and I learned Spanish there. Everybody, I went to the American school in Lima, Peru, and all students required of irrespective of your Spanish proficiency, had to take a class in Spanish every semester. So the first year I was obviously a beginner, but I took the city bus back and forth to school, So I kind of learned through the school of hard knocks and a lot of street Spanish.
Let's say it seems like a very practical way to learn a new language is just by being kind of thrust into the community.
It is, and that's what I would advocate for anybody who wishes to learn a language that they don't learn at home as a child.
Wow, yeah, that's a very unique experience you had.
Yeah, I'm a little embarrassed to say for the length of time that I have worked in Spanish-speaking environments. I wish my Spanish were a little better, but I feel comfortable. I tell people I'm conversationally, not professionally proficient.
You know enough to get around town. I think that
yeah, and I've given presentations in formal business environments to different audiences, and they were kind.
So it had to be a great experience, but does anything stand out as something that you learned that you don't think you would have otherwise from working abroad?
Yes. I gained an appreciation for the differences between cultures and the fact that when you are in a culture other than your own, you have to alter your behavior a little bit. And as best as you can, learn from those from the country in which you're working, how they operate. And that really improves one's efficiency and ability to work happily in the various foreign environments. So the cultural, learning the culture, I think, is almost more important than being able to speak the language. Most of the people in Mexico and obviously Europe that I interacted with spoke English very well. But in Mexico would prefer to speak to them in Spanish. And even in my first job in the aerospace business, I had a lot of contact with people that worked in the warehouse. And I spoke Spanish with many of them who were native Spanish speakers. And it didn't take me too long to realize that all my work got to the top of the pile. So it has some benefits and generates some good team rapport.
Wow. It doesn't surprise me that kind of respecting someone else's culture obviously comes with benefits when you're trying to accomplish a common goal. So, So now you're at NMSU. You're working with the Arrowhead Technology Incubator. What exactly are you doing with them?
Thus far, I've only been here 2.5 months so far, so I'm still getting my arms around everything we do. But so far, I've concentrated on learning the lean startup methodology that we use with our various clients here in the different programs that we have, which for me is a new experience. I came out of large corporate environments, and I'm sad to say I never observed the lean methodology process utilized. I worked for 2 employers that, had they done so, could have saved themselves considerable amounts of money. So I'm going through that, learning that process, but I'm working with Zeddy Sloan in the Arrowhead Technology Incubator, getting to know our clients, and also with Dale Spencer, helping mentor and coach the various teams that we have so that we can progress through the logical steps so that they can get their company up and running, and once running, increase their profitability as fast as possible.
Okay, all right. So you're a new resource for anyone utilizing the technology incubator.
That's correct, and that's fun. And part of the reason that I joined the Arrowhead Center is half my relatives are close to it. Worked in academic environments of one flavor or another, either teaching or administration or a staff capacity. And I always kind of envied their experiences. So the opportunity to work for an organization that's closely tied to a major university was very intriguing for me. And it's been very pleasurable thus far. I've enjoyed the opportunity to interact with not only the staff of the Arrowhead Center, but some of the professors that I've met and some of the students who we interact with.
So can you give me like a small preview of of how you help kind of coach folks in whatever it is that they're working on? Like, how do you help folks kind of create their team? How do you help them build a work plan?
Obviously, the first thing is to understand what their product or service is that they hope to offer. One of the helps to come up with an idea is obviously to be passionate about something, have a new technology or a creative idea that is either new in the marketplace or attacks a situation from another angle so that the market views it as a new product offering. Understanding that, then you go through the lean startup process, which is kind of nice because it forces you to get out and talk to your potential customer right out of the chute. You almost invite them into the product or service design stage, and you learn from them. It's a constant learning process until you get something that's called your minimum viable product or service offering. And then you actually take a mock-up of that out and get further feedback. And the objective of all of this is to get it more correct the first time, albeit there's numerous iterations from start to first product out the door or service, and it continually evolves after that. So that's the first part of the process. But once they're actually operational, then just helping with putting together, okay, what do we need to accomplish this quarter, organizing that in a logical fashion. I've been working with 3 of our clients, and just this week we have a client who made a major acquisition of a manufacturing facility. We have another a client who has had some discussions with an organization that may be able to get their product fairly recognized globally if things go right. And those interactions are very fun.
So you get to see a wide variety of projects and potential businesses, I'm sure.
That is correct, and that is another nice thing about this opportunity is when I was in the corporate world, I knew what I was going to do, for the next year or two. Here, I don't necessarily know what the next client's product or service offering will be, until they walk in the door. And it's also a chance to learn a lot about a lot of different things. I myself am not a tech guru. So some of the things, that draw on technology, it's a chance for me to increase my knowledge and learn more about that. And it's very satisfying and exciting. One of the things in the corporate world that translates a little over here into the work that the Arrowhead Center does with our clients is, I've had people ask me over the years, what gives you the most satisfaction about your work? And the thing that always gave me the most satisfaction was being able to accomplish the objectives of my employer, but work with my team in such a way that they, at the same time, achieved their personal goals and aspirations. And that carries over here into the work with the Arrowhead Center clients, in that obviously the folks who have a business idea want this business idea to succeed. So being part of the collective team here of the Arrowhead Center that empowers and helps these groups start out very small and hopefully someday may evolve into something of significant size is pretty exciting.
Right, because obviously everyone wants to succeed. That's the end goal of any new project. But being able to do it a certain way, like you said, where you're able to achieve what you set out to do and in the way you set out to do it, that's a good goal. That's a good thing to set out to achieve.
That is correct. And helping people put together the thought process to accomplish what you just described is very intrinsically rewarding.
Right, and it has to be fun for you as well, because you come across such a wide variety of different projects, different businesses. I'm sure you notice patterns between them. It's like, okay, yes, I've seen this scenario before, but at the same time, I'm sure no two are the same.
That's correct. And it also draws on, obviously, my prior professional experiences. It's a different environment, obviously, but, some, depending on what the product offering or service is, there are some legal constraints that you need to pay attention to. I've had some experience with that. You need to account for things appropriately. I've had some accounting experience. You've got to be good at presenting your idea or product to people. That's something common in just about every business discipline. So I'm able to draw from those previous experiences with the unique setting that each client has with what they're working on.
Yeah, that's a pattern I feel has come up just in my talks with guests on this show. So many folks have said a lot of people's first hurdle they need to get over is how to present themselves to their clients or to other potential business partners. That it's kind of at some point it's everyone's first time to figure out how to sell themselves and sell their product.
That's right. And fortunately here at the Arrowhead Center, we have resources that are able to help them put together professional quality presentations, create a web presence. And those are things that small companies right out of the chute often don't have access to.
I know that was the case for me as well. It was quite the learning curve for myself when I kind of set out to start my own stuff.
Uh-huh.
So outside of that, what other projects are you working on right now?
A couple things that I'm working on. I'm working with a few of my Arrowhead colleagues on creating a platform to more efficiently track our organizational metrics. And I've just started a project that I'm working on that is focused on how can we work with our clients and help structure their teams so they are more likely to either be successful or to, I like to use the term, turbocharge their success. I just actually literally started that project this week. And again, it draws on kind of a hobby that I had in my responsibilities in the corporate world. Even though I never worked in HR, a lot of the fun I had at work was the HR-related stuff that went along with my specific job responsibilities. And I got into team building and organizational development and design out of that, more as a hobby, not from an academic perspective. And so now here being in a university setting with the resources we have, how can we work together to coach our new team companies, the companies, the teams that our company brings to the table, either how help them form their team or turn their team into something that might be more productive than it would have been otherwise. And that's something I'm at the very beginning stages of. We'll see where it leads.
Okay. How did you get, you said it was a hobby, but how did you start picking up HR work initially if it wasn't necessarily in your job title?
Well, I do also have a degree in industrial relations. I don't brag about it. I talk about my academic undergraduate degrees in finance and economics, but I also have one in industrial relations, and it stemmed from that a little bit. And it's actually kind of interesting. When I left the corporate world, I was fortunate to be able to leave fairly young. I started doing some volunteer work, and one of the organizations in particular was interested in working with nonprofit groups in how to help them organize their teams and enable their teams to become more productive. And I had done this through the School of Hard Knocks in my responsibilities. I was fortunate that most of the people that I hired remained with my organization or my company. When you have a good employee, you like to enable them to transfer from department to department also, because the skill sets you acquire as you move through the various areas are valuable both for them and the company. So working with a a group of people who also had an interest in this kind of piqued my focus on my hobby, so to speak, and it's just become something that is fun for me. And I've also, working with them, subjected myself, I jokingly say, to several of the different psychological instruments that are out there so you understand your profile. And it turns out that I probably should have had a career in HR rather than accounting or finance or trade. But that's okay. I had lots of fun, and I'm still enjoying what I do now. I feel very fortunate.
But that's great. You definitely have a very good outlook on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's fun. And like I say, I always kind of looked over the fence at my family members that were working in an academic environment. So the opportunity here now at this stage of my career to be in this kind of environment is very exciting.
Yeah, it sounds like you've had a chance to have many different professional experiences, and it sounds like you've really enjoyed all aspects from all of them.
Yeah, I'm happy to say that that's true. And I was also one that was probably kind of unique in that I never had to decide what I wanted to do. It seemed like even when I was like a little kid, I knew I wanted to major in business and work in a business setting. And while I did different things within those various types of business settings, it was always business related. So, a lot of people, even when they're in college, they may change their majors once or twice. And now people in their careers, it's become reasonably common for people to have one or two or maybe three totally different careers over the course of their professional life. I've always done something related to what I thought I wanted to do when I was a youngster.
That's very unique. Not everyone could say that.
That's true. Yeah. And it's gotten me in numerous places, different parts of the world, and the experiences that I've had have been very pleasant and enjoyable. I feel very fortunate.
Oh, that's great. Well, you clearly have had quite the experience over your professional life, and it sounds like you'd be a wonderful resource for anyone working on their business to talk to. So, for those listening, if they have access to the Arrowhead Center, how can they get in touch with you?
Just contact the Arrowhead Center. My email is moldstad@nmsu.edu. Moldstad is the spelling of my last name. And I would be happy to meet with them and interact with them or put them in contact with any Arrowhead Center resource that they would benefit from.
Oh, wonderful. And everyone out there listening, if you would like more information on NMSU or the Arrowhead Center, check out arrowheadcenter.nmsu.edu. Tim, it's been wonderful talking with you and learning about your story. So thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thanks, everyone, for listening. Don't forget to subscribe, whether you're listening on iTunes or on YouTube. Very much appreciated. Have a good one.
Thank you.